Ready, set, and here we go with our Minn Kota Unlock the Lake. The lake this time around, legendary Lake Champlain. Second to last stop of the year. Tommy Sanders and Ronnie Moore here in the Bassmaster Studio, sponsored by Marathon and Ronnie. Brian Schmidt, our winner, a man who is 40 years old, but in his second year only with the Bassmaster Elite Series, but he has a great, great fishing record.
One of his best track records on any given lake is at Lake Champlain. He's one who knows a lot about this place. His techniques, his strong suits really fit well with this fishery. He was in contention after day one, sitting there in the top 5, and then he took the lead day 2, and he just rode that throughout the day.
A little bit of an old school guy, told us after every day, after smashing him every day, I'm out, I'm done, I'm not going to go forward. Just very self-effacing and so forth. And you sort of like that quality once in a while, but it turned out he had the goods. And he always said, I've got so many places I haven't visited yet, so many good spots I haven't touched. That gave you a clue as to what was really up.
And one thing with Brian Schmidt is he always wins Lake Champlain with largemouth. And so he had that game dialed into a T. He knew where to go to catch the certain largemouth in the morning he needed. He knew where to get the upgrades later in the day. And his roommate, Austin Felix, keyed him in on how to catch a couple key smallmouth late in the afternoons when his largemouth bite would die. Brian Schmidt did end up mixing in smallmouth, which he kind of accentuated. Hey, I need a couple smallmouth. And on day 3, we saw a big one. And then day 4, he caught a couple key ones late in the day.
Yeah, that navigation buoy, Austin should never have told him about that.
He should have never told him about it. And hey, going into the final 10 minutes of the fishing day, Brian Schmidt did not know that this key smallmouth catch would be the winning fish off of this marker buoy.
Again, Brian Schmidt, your winner. His first win with the Bassmaster Elite Series in his second year. Now we get to the rest of the anglers who pursued him throughout the 4 days there. Another second-year angler, destined to Marion, suffering through a really trying season. Couldn't wait to get up here into quote-unquote smallmouth country, although he did a lot of his damage with largemouth.
Yeah, this is definitely his neck of the woods. Being from Pennsylvania, he has since relocated to the south. Recently, actually, during this event, closed on a house, but he always will have a strong affliction for smallmouth country. And like you said, he did mix in largemouth. It was odd for those guys who were kind of keeping their feet in the fire on both largemouth and smallmouth. He would start the morning with largemouth and then switch it up the next day and start with smallmouth. And he was doing that back and forth. And on the final day, he had multiple flurries that really captivated Bassmaster Live. He was high energy and excitement. That 10-minute flurry of smallmouth that he went through in the morning took him from way down the top 10 into contention and kept him there the rest of the day until he made that switch to largemouth in the afternoon. And we got to see Doc shine. That's what Brian Schmidt said, some Doc should shine. And DeMarion was by far the best with that pattern, Tommy.
Absolutely.
Yeah!
76 pounds and 6th place it winds up for Destin DeMarion. A much needed upturn in his season here near the very end. Of course, we talked about that. We were talking about Brian Schmidt. We talked about his roommate, Austin Felix, last year's Bassmaster Rookie of the Year, cluing him in on certain things, including fishing buoys, navigational buoys, mooring buoys, and so forth like that. And Austin really put on a clinic in that particular style of fishing. One of the guys who unlocked it in a different way.
And Mark Zona explained it on Bassmaster Live perfectly, why those fish relate to the marker buoys, the chain that goes down, bait fish hang around there, the big concrete block at the bottom. It's just a good place, especially for shallow smallmouth coming off of the spawn, a place that they can go and stop before maybe going off to a deeper spot or another drop or ledge or something like that. So it's a great place for smallmouth. And to be honest, Tommy, there were 2 names I was thinking about the entire season waiting for Champlain, Brian Schmidt and Austin Felix. They were no doubters. I didn't care where they were in fantasy fishing. You have to pick those 2 anglers for their various successes here. And for Felix to clue in Schmidt, that was huge, but he really did it with a couple different baits. He did it with a drop shot, something you'd expect, and then he also threw a spy bait for those suspended fish. And it was very cool to see him. And hey, he started with a bang on the final day, catching that big one on his birthday, which took him from down in the bottom of the leaderboard with a chance to contend the rest of the day.
Oh my gosh. Are you kidding me? About done. Just come here. Get us a dang 5-pounder to start the morning, boys.
5th place, Austin Felix, a great tournament at Lake Champlain. Chris Saldane, our eyes were on Chris Saldane from the very start of this tournament. Carved out something a little different, as he always seems to do, following alewives in a vast flat, a place he had supreme confidence in.
Yeah, for Chris Saldane, I feel like there could be a very easy, prevalent pattern on any given lake, and he's going to avoid that and find something off the beaten path that he can have to himself, that he can maybe fish his way, and he did that. We saw him, we looked in on him day 1 a little bit with Skype, and then we got to see him on day 2 throwing big baits that you just don't throw at Lake Champlain and catching big smallmouth aggressive fish. That's what he wanted. He wanted those active feeders. So not only was he throwing a big swim bait and a spoon early in the event, but one thing that happened, the weather changed. Day 2 and day 1 both were cloudy. Day 3, it became sunny, so he switched up to those finesse tactics to maximize his area. Then we get to the final day, and you wonder, he's caught so many fish, the most fish of anyone in the field.
Constantly, both mornings, first 2 mornings, I couldn't count the number of good keepers he caught out of it.
So you assume that he's going to do the same thing on the final day and continue to do that, but at a certain point, flats like that will run out of fish or they will relocate in position. He realized that and had to make a move, but he really did rebound well in the afternoon to get 17 plus pounds to finish 3rd place this week.
Super consistent throughout this tournament here. Did not have really an off day, just a slight decline, and Saturday was kind of what buried him just a little bit there.
And meanwhile for Saldane, some of those weekend events, you start to get a little lower in weight, but a guy who got stronger as the event went on, Keith Combs, our eventual runner-up in the event, 2nd place for him. Nice. Like you said, Tommy, off camera, 20th or so in the beginning of the week, and then the teens, and then he really made his presence known on day 3. Such a big bag, and he did it in one of the most exciting ways possible. Top water and smallmouth, that's all you can ask for, is great fishing on top water, but when you can get smallmouth as well, that's huge. For him though, that final day, he knew, I need Brian Schmidt to slip a little bit. I can catch 19, 20 pounds, but I still need him to come back to the field a little bit. He got his wish. Schmidt only had 16 on the final day, and Combs put the ultimate amount of pressure, making this event closer than it had been since day 1 of the tournament.
He's little, I think. Maybe. Maybe not. No, he's not little. Oh, come here, come here, come here. It's a good one. Yeah, buddy.
Well, that was the Keith Combs we all know and love, making a furious charge at the end of the day. I would have to say he's back based on what we saw at Lake Champlain. Congratulations to our winner, Brian Schmidt, and all the rest of the difference makers there in one of the most exciting tournaments we have covered in a long, long time, and that is your Minn Kota Unlock the Way.